Hello and welcome to the City of London Corporation's apprenticeship webinars. I'm Claire Tunley, the Head of Employability at the City of London Corporation. To help businesses understand the process of apprenticeships, we've designed a series of webinars to dismantle some of the complexity around apprenticeships. These videos will cover a range of topics, and today we're going to look at End Point Assessors, and particularly to explain what they are and how businesses go about appointing an End Point Assessor for their apprenticeship. All information provided today is accurate, but please do refer to the Government Apprenticeship website for the most recent information, as the guidance does change. Today I'm joined by Nicola Bolton, the MD of Acumen Work and formerly Shadow COO of the Institute for Apprenticeships. Hello Nicola.
Hi Claire.
So when we're looking at endpoint assessors, first of all, can you just tell us exactly what is an endpoint assessor?
Well, the way that apprenticeships are working is that the government has said that an independent organisation has to be involved in assessing the end point of an apprenticeship so that every apprentice is assessed consistently when they're on the same standard.
And so these are different organisations to the training provider, they're completely separate?
Absolutely, they're separate organisations.
So Nicola, how do employers choose an endpoint assessor?
So basically, the government has put together an online register of endpoint assessment organisations, which is a list of organisations that have been assessed as being suitable to conduct independent endpoint assessment of apprentices and also be in receipt of public funds. Basically, you as an employer have to make sure that you're satisfied with the choice of the endpoint assessor. You can ask your training provider for a recommendation, and indeed you can talk to other businesses and ask them for ideas on who they've also used, but you yourself have to be satisfied that the endpoint assessment organisation is the right one for your apprenticeships.
Okay, that's an important point, because I know some training providers have built up a good working relationship with some endpoint assessors, but as an employer you don't have to accept that endpoint assessor, you can insist on someone different.
Absolutely, you don't have to take their recommendation at all.
Okay. So Nicola, what are some of the things I need to think about to ensure I get a good endpoint assessor attached to my apprenticeship?
Well, first of all, I think you need to check out how involved these endpoint assessors are, for example, in developing the apprenticeship curriculum, and how much they know about your industry, where you've got sort of very specialist knowledge that you want to be assured that your apprenticeship will have, or your apprentice, will have at the end of their apprenticeship. You will also want to think about some basic things like the costs involved and how much deposit you've got to put forward, and there's some very, very clear rules about that on the government website. I think importantly though, something you want to really explore is what the policy is on resits and retakes, because we all know people don't get things right first time, and you know, when apprentices are studying there's lots of other pressures they'll have, but you need to make sure that you're very clear on what happens if your apprentices actually need to resit or retake parts of their study.
Okay. Are there any other things that employers should be aware of when considering endpoint assessors?
So I think the employer needs to remember that they're the one that's going to be signing off the apprentice as being competent before the endpoint assessment, and therefore you need to be sort of very closely involved.
So the employer really triggers the endpoint assessment by saying the apprentice is ready, we think, to take the endpoint assessment. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. And so on that basis, your success rate should actually be high with your apprenticeships. Okay. The only other thing to point out is that probably 99% of standards have got an endpoint assessment plan in place, but because there are always new standards being developed, if you happen to pick a new standard, there may be a lag in getting an endpoint assessor organisation in place. Now, this isn't anything to worry about, it's just that there's a cost to endpoint assessors getting the material ready and getting themselves ready to actually start assessing apprentices. So they need to balance out when they're ready to actually bring that to life and become, go on to the register.
Okay, that's really good to know. Thank you, Nicola. That concludes our webinar on endpoint assessors. So I just want to say thank you to Nicola for joining us today.
You're welcome.